Hey everyone, Mark here at the Redfern Food Forest, and today I'm going to be doing something you've been asking for quite a while, finally following up on what happened to those apple trees that I grew from seed. So if you remember, I made that first video of harvesting the seeds and putting them in the refrigerator, I think in October or fall of 2019. So it's been 2 years since then, maybe 18 months or 20 months since they germinated. So how old are they? I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years old. But they've just been sitting on my deck for the last year and a half. I don't water them, I don't fertilize them, I do nothing to them, and they've just been sitting out in the elements. And during that time, it's been pretty interesting to watch them. A couple of them are tall, a couple of them have branches, and at least one of them, maybe two of them, I think have died. Honestly, when I put them all next to each other, they almost don't look like they're all the same tree. Of course, they came from just two different apples, so most of them are related at least. So it's kind of interesting to see the genetic variation. If I hadn't captured it all in video myself, I would almost not believe they were from the same apple, the same kind of tree. But I think they are. You watched me do it, so they must be, right? Now I'm filming this video middle of October, early October of 2021, which is probably the worst, or at least not a good time to be planting trees. Ideally, these fruit-bearing deciduous trees we want to plant in the spring when they have a chance to grow, or get them bare root from a nursery or bare root from my deck and plant them in the middle of winter. But now I have time to do it, and so now's the time that I'm going to do it, and we'll just see what happens. Now, as you may remember from previous videos, I've been struggling to get some of this stuff off the ground here. Back out in the food forest, deer or animals or something else constantly kills the trees I plant back there. Or if the animals don't get to the trees, then the elements do, and miniature droughts or bad storms end up knocking over the trees in my mini orchard or killing the trees that I've been trying to plant back in the food forest. So I'm going to try a different approach now, and that is to plant them in holes in my yard. Now I'm sure you're asking, Mark, why do you have holes in your yard? Well, the answer is one of my dogs likes to chase around the little rodents that we have here and dig holes, and I figured, why not kill two birds with one stone? Don't actually kill birds. And plant the trees in the holes that my dog has already dug. So let's go check it out. Well, here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apple trees. What happened to the sixth one? I traded it, I think, for a banana tree. I can't remember. I have the banana tree up front still. So this one, I mean, oh, hello, Gertie. Look how tall this tree is. It's probably 2 feet tall, 2.5. This one's got a bunch of branches on it, which is pretty cool. This one back here, I believe, is the dead one. It's got no leaves on it whatsoever, so it died during one of the droughts, the miniature droughts we had this past summer. And this one's looking okay. It's got some leaves on top. They've just been sitting in these buckets since you saw me do that previously in the video, link up here, wherever. And that's it, I've left them alone. It'll be interesting to see what the root characteristics look like. Have they been in these pots? I suspect we're gonna see some kind of coils or root-bound circular patterns, but I honestly don't know. I'm gonna carry these back to the yard, find some holes, and put them next to where they go. All right, there we go. I got the trees moved. That fifth one is definitely dead. I checked it, scratched it. There's no green on the inside, so it's dead. We have these 4, and my plan was originally to disperse them around the yard. There's a few different holes, but actually I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in a pretty close proximity to each other. And I am gonna wanna fence these in at least a little bit. I was originally thinking I would do, just checking out already. Gertie. Be good. I was originally planning on spacing these out throughout the yard and fencing them in with something to try and keep the dogs out, the critters out, the children out. But I think I'm just gonna put them all right here. And after that, we'll throw down some cardboard and wood chips and maybe do a little fence. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I need a shovel to make these holes a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna dig a hole that's approximately the same size as each of these pots, just a little bit bigger so I can fit things down there nicely. And if you're asking yourself, what does his wife think of this? The answer is, she doesn't know I'm planting these trees in the yard. She's at work right now, so she'll find out later. Okay, now I've got all those holes dug. It's time to get our hands dirty right here. Open our first one up and see what we get. So I just roll it around a little bit, kind of push at the bottom here. Yes, some dirt falls out. That's all right. And I'm just gonna, I want to grab it by the base. It feels like it's, the dirt's really heavy. It's been raining for a few days, so pull it out like that. Okay, let's see what we're working with here. Now this is going to be very traumatic for the tree, so we got to be careful here because we are, every time I move it, I'm breaking off roots and hairs and little fibers. I have this one in here, so I need to separate that. That's no good, we don't want that. And here we go. Here's our actual tree. It actually, the roots look really nice. I don't feel them. I don't want to shake, I don't know, all the dirt off, but I also kind of want to see what's going on here. There we go. Wow. Looks pretty nice. We got the main root stem coming through here. Nice little branch off here. And what I'm just trying to do is just separate this a little bit since we have a hole in here. And I'm going to try and spread it out maybe a little bit. So I am going to snap this a little bit to pull that through. There we go. And then it's kind of wound up down here too, tied together. So I'm gonna separate that a little bit. Wow, looks great. All right, let's place it in our hole. So if we put this down here, we want the root crown to be at the same level of the ground. And remember, it's probably gonna settle a little bit when we put it in here. And I also wanna space out the roots. So we're gonna make a small cone at the bottom here, kind of like that. And then as I put the tree roots down here, just again separating them a little bit more here at the bottom here. Can I say here one more time? Roots go in this direction, north, south, east, west, left, right. It's different angles so that as they grow, they're gonna spread out. I'm pretty pleased with that, honestly. So now I'm just going to start putting some of this dirt back in here while I hold it loosely. I don't want the grass in there, so I'm just going to shake off. Maybe put some of it upside down, whatever, that's fine. That way the grass dies, but the tree doesn't, or the roots are still all available. Just keep packing it in here, packing it in here, packing it in here. And of course I have lots of dirt from the bucket that I'm taking, as well as the dirt that was in this actual hole. Typically, you want to plant your trees in the same sort of environment, the same soil that they've been growing in. Otherwise, this is already a shock to the system. If we put different dirt in here from the store, a mixture of different clays or sands, it would just be even more of a shock to this tree. Now, to be honest, I think I planted it a little high still, so I am pushing it down slightly. There we go. Spreading it out, compacting it a little bit, but not too much. I'm not trying to squish anything. I want to make sure we'll be able to water it. And of course, the next time it rains, which by the way, it's supposed to later today, This is just a gap in the rain where I'm planting these. The water's gonna come in here and fill in all the air bubbles and remove all the air gaps, rather. That way the roots are in contact with the soil, which is what we want. So there we go. You see me do the first one. Let's do this big one next here, okay? Same idea. Kind of gonna beat up the bottom a little bit, break it up, roll it back and forth until I feel confident most of the soil's loose, and I can kind of pull this away and have the root not completely ripped from the tree. And let's put this tree into the ground. Great timing here as the garbage truck comes by. This is real life, not a studio, so that's what happens. Separating the roots. I mean, it's just beautiful, nice thick roots. Again, I'm gonna kind of grab some of this, make a little cone at the basin, like we did on that previous one. That way I can lay the tree on top at the level of the ground. So I need a little more here. Let's grab some of this good dirt here. Shaking it up. Don't want too much grass, mostly just want the dirt. The rest of this grass I'm going to use to patch in the other holes that the dog dug. Okay, mound it up, mound it up. See how it sits now. Nice. Maybe this orientation, make it kind of straight. It'll straighten itself out. The wind does come from a certain direction here. Not sure if that matters for our root orientation. But it usually comes from this direction, the west to the east. Oh, then just fill this dirt back on top. Holding the tree softly as we do so, gently, until it starts to support itself. And I think I have some more dirt in this bucket. Do I? Oh, no, I was wrong. It's all over here. Well, you get the idea. You don't have to watch me crawl around. I'm gonna finish this one, do the other two, and I'll be back in a few minutes. All right. Now, I finished up planting each of those trees, cleaned up my hands, covered the camera in dirt and mud, but that's all right. Next steps, if you've watched anything, you should know what's coming. Cardboard and wood chips. I got a pile over here. Start with some of these nice big ones here, huh? You know what they say, one man's pile of trash is another man's weed suppressant. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, you don't have to cover up every single blade of grass or weeds or whatever you're working with, but you know, the more you cover up, the better of a time you're gonna have. Up in nicely. Now remember, the point of the cardboard and the point of the wood chips is kind of twofold, or maybe threefold. One, it's serving as a weed or a grass suppressant, or whatever you have in your area, it's going to suppress that, so there's less competition for the trees or the plants of interest. Number two, particularly the wood chips are great at holding moisture, as is the cardboard, but primarily the wood chips. They're going to hold this moisture when it's wet, and that way there won't be as much of a deluge of waterfall on your plants, and then as it dries out, it's going to slowly release that water and that moisture to the plants, kind of trickle feeding them. That way your water goes much more moderate in its dosing. There's not such heavy falls and heavy drought periods. And then third, as those wood chips break down over time, they're providing carbon-based organic materials to feed the plants directly, but also the ecosystems that are going to develop around it. You can see on a lot of this cardboard and even the wood chips, there's bacteria, there's little spiders and insects, there's mycelium in wood chips, and these are all beneficial things. They're going to help to create this forest ecosystem that we're looking to build here, in this case, in my backyard. Oh, well, that took a few minutes. I'm gonna recycle some materials that I already have around here. Earlier this spring, I took down the cattle panels that were serving as an arch in the garden. I still have those, so I'm just gonna kind of put them up here loosely with some stakes to keep out the dogs, the deer, the kids. And then I think I have a little bit of like rabbit fencing to try and keep out the rabbits and other small woodland creatures. So let's get that up and we'll call it a day. Well, there we go. A little bit of work, but I finally got them off my deck and got these trees into the ground. As you can see, you know, fence is not perfect. Kind of a lazy gardener, if you haven't noticed that. But hopefully it gets the job done. I'll either have to tighten up this fence or put down some more cardboard and wood chips just to fill in the grass area for the future. Now that those trees are planted in the ground, hopefully they live long and prosper and do well throughout the winter and come back next spring and we get more bountiful harvest, kind of like the one I have behind me. Maybe not exactly bountiful, but this is the biggest crop I've had for apple trees. This is one of the 3-in-1 apple varieties, and there's a few more on one of the varieties over here. And they don't look that good to eat. These are natural, organic, no chemicals, and that's pretty apparent. It's kind of the first time I've had this kind of crop size. They don't look that tasty, but I could still extract the seeds from them and plant some more trees. So what do you think? Should I try that out? Do you want to see me make something with these? Applesauce? Eat them raw? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see what happens. Until next time, thanks for watching.